Hello, good afternoon. So today we're going to go on with those central passages in Wittgenstein about following a rule, and then on Friday we start in on Kripke's account of rule following. Kripke is fairly sure that he has the whole thing sorted out, so we'll look at Kripke's way of sorting everything out in the 3 lectures after this. Today I want to really focus on what the main problems are in understanding Wittgenstein's picture of what's going on in our understanding of language and the way language functions. Incidentally, on Friday we will give out the topics for the next essay, so there's that to look forward to. So in the last 2 sections today, I want to focus on the main issues in understanding Wittgenstein's positive account. I want to begin by doing a kind of compare and contrast of Putnam and Wittgenstein, because there are a lot of similarities between the ways that the two of them set things up, though somehow the whole, how should I say, the whole vocabulary, the whole angle of approach looks so different. There are actually a lot of points of similarity. I mean, here's Putnam, a famous remark Putnam made: cut the pie any way you like, he says in his Yankee way, meanings just ain't in the head. Wittgenstein does not put it quite like that. But the message is actually very similar, right? I mean, Wittgenstein is also agreeing that it's not the stuff running through your head that fixes the meaning of the sign. If you think about translating Putnam's account into the way I've been explaining Wittgenstein's, you might think, look, how do you explain to someone the meaning of a word like water or gold? How do you do it? Well, the natural thing to do is show them some of it. Say, look, this is water, here's some water, that's water, this isn't water. You explain to them that, you give them examples of things that the word applies to, and after a bit, the people start being able to apply the word to things too, and they rattle on in the same way. So what happened there, very natural picture is that what happened is that the student got it, that's the kind of stuff, and got a mental picture of what water is. That's what they're using to guide their use of the word. And Putnam's point, in both when he's talking about two and earth and when he's talking about brains and all that, is that this kind of image of water, this stuff running through your head, can't be what fixes the meaning. Because after all, on earth and in twin earth, Oscar 1 and Oscar 2 they will have exactly the same image that they associate with the sign water, but the meanings of the signs they're using are quite different. They stand for different stuff. Or if you think about Putnam on brains and all that, then Putnam's very explicit in that brains and Avat article. The images running through your mind, the images running through the mind of the brain and Avat can't fix the meaning of the sign. So for Putnam, just as for Wittgenstein, this image in the mind just drops out. There's no such thing in an account of understanding and meaning. And of course, there can't be, I mean, it's obvious, I think, that it can't all be dictionary definitions of the signs either, because dictionary definitions must come to an end somewhere. Somewhere there must be words that you understand without the use of an explicit verbal definition. So how is it that there's such a thing as going right or wrong in your use of the word water on Putnam's account? What does he have to say about this? Well, remember, his picture seems to be, his mature picture seems to be something like, is what substance it is that you're encountering, what substance it is that you're responsive to when you're using the word water. It's what the chemical structure is out there that you're causally responding to, as opposed to what Oscar 2 is causally responding to. The other element is that there can be experts, jewelers fixing the reference of the word diamond, for example, chemists fixing the reference of a word like silicon, experts out there that you defer to in fixing the reference of the word. So this positive picture doesn't look much like Wittgenstein's. I mean, the picture is there's this underlying structure out there. These things, the superficial characteristics of water or gold might generate a picture in your mind, but that is not what's fixing the reference. What's fixing the reference is the underlying structure that is causing your use of the word. So for Putnam, as for Wittgenstein, is right to think that you shouldn't look deep inside the mind for an account of the way language works. You have to look out to the context in which the language is being used. But he doesn't have anything like Wittgenstein's notion of a custom or practice. And given that this notion of a custom or practice is difficult, and I'll go on in a bit to try and indicate what the difficulties are with it, you might say, well, Putnam's picture looks a lot better, because at any rate we know what that means. You're responding to this underlying structure. This looks like quite a clean, scientifically oriented account of what's happening in our understanding of language. We're causally responding to some aspects of the environment and not others. But can you do it all in terms of causation and what we call the division of linguistic labour, the way you're relying on experts? Could you give a whole account of understanding and meaning in those terms? Well, the thing about division of linguistic labour, the thing about relying on the experts who are going to tell you what's really meant by diamond or silicon or whatever, is that they can't be relying on further experts themselves, or even if they are, if they say there are the hidden ones who really know the meanings of the words, that's got to come to an end somewhere. There have to be experts who are not relying on anybody else, and then the question is, how does that work? How does understanding and meaning work in the most basic cases? And then all we've got left is the causal encounters with the things in the world around you. But then we run into those problems that we went over, talking about the disjunction problem and talking about Dretschke. You remember our old friend the magnetosome. You remember the magnetosome? Yeah, causally responding to this and that, or Fodor causally responding to horses and cows. You can be causally responding to things, but getting it wrong in your use of a sign. So how can causal encounters be generating standards of right and wrong? Dretschke's idea was, well, maybe talking about water has a biological function, namely to indicate the presence of H2O. And maybe that notion of function is what is going to generate the standards of right and wrong for our uses of ordinary English. But remember, this was a point about notions like being popular, or what were the other cases? Who's in control? How much control do I have over the ongoing situation? If you take words like popular, then maybe the biological function of a word like popular, the way most of us use it, is to make us feel good about ourselves. Maybe that's when it's really functioning optimally, when it's generating illusions about, I don't mean to be too depressing, but about how well liked we all are. If you see what I mean. Yeah, so biological optimality there really might not be the same thing as truth. There is just a basic problem with that talk about biological function. And if you say, well, okay, I'm not really talking about biological function here. I'm just, as with Fodor, going to talk about purely causal connections. Forget the stuff about function. It's just what makes me use the word. Then even if you have Fodor's thing about causal asymmetry, remember causal asymmetry? You respond to horses. Your use of the word horse is causally responsive to the presence of horses. Your use of the word horse is causally responsive to the presence of cows, but it's only causally responsive to the presence of cows because it's causally responsive to the presence of horses, and you're not very good at telling the difference. That was the kind of story. But the really basic problem there is you can't see why that would be generating standards of right and wrong. Suppose you do stand in that causal relation to your environment. How does that make for such a thing as there being right and wrong? So although Putnam is like Wittgenstein in saying, well, forget about going inside the mind for an account of understanding and meaning. Look instead at elements of the context. What he's ultimately pointing to are aspects of your causal encounters with the things you're talking about, and it's hard to see how that generates standards of right and wrong. So in Wittgenstein, this notion of a custom or practice, whatever it means, that looks better equipped to explain how there are standards of right and wrong. But then the puzzle is, what exactly is a custom or practice? How is it generating standards of right and wrong? How does the existence of a custom or practice explain how there can be such a thing as truth or falsity in your use of language? That's a basic puzzle about language use that we've been discussing really one way or another all the way through. How does it help? He seems to think it's absolutely key. He seems to think that's what illuminates everything. It's some kind of feature of the context. It's not something deep in your head. But what exactly is it? What kind of feature of the context? Okay. So much for Putnam and Britschke and Fodor. Okay. You all happy to wave goodbye to Putnam and Britschke and Fodor at this point? Okay, well, goodbye. Onwards. Onwards? Okay, onwards. So what is a custom? What's he talking about? Here are some, what I've done in the rest of today's little chat is select what I think are some of the most intriguing comments he makes that bear on custom or practice. And I'll try and explain something about what I think he's getting at these ideas, but I'm not going to give you, I don't have, frankly, a resolved account of what he means by custom or practice. So if anything occurs to you as we work through these quotes, do let me know. And really, I'm perfectly serious, you're just as likely as anybody else to come up with something on this. Okay, so here's one intriguing remark. If language is to be a means of communication, there must be agreement, not only in definitions, but also, queer as this may sound, in judgments. And I think what he means there is, it's natural to suppose that, look, all we have to agree on is the definitions of the words. So long as we all assign the same meanings to the words, what does it matter whether we agree about which things the words apply to? That doesn't matter so much. So long as we all give the same meaning to the word, you and I might disagree the whole time about which things are blue or which things are fair. And children like that, children are always squabbling about what's fair and what isn't, right? So maybe they never agree about the application of the word in particular cases. But so long as they all agree on the definition of the word, that would be the key thing. But I think it's part of the picture that this notion of meaning as being given by a definition is just dropping out. We're not to think in those terms of meaning as being given by definition. And agreement in judgments is going to be essential for agreement in meaning. If there's going to be such a thing as communication, there has to be agreement in judgments. That has something to do with the existence of customs or practices. Here's another remark. How am I... Sorry, yeah.
Wouldn't agreement in definitions require agreement in judgments? So that if you know the definition of the word,
Yeah.
That would, say the definition of the chair, you would exclude everything else, not chair, from the definition of the chair, and include everything in the set chair when you say chair. Like when you find chair, you include everything in the chair in the definition next to it, it's not. Which means that if you have something to be a chair, if you read the definition,
Yes.
you would agree in the thing of the chair or not chair.
Very good, yes. Okay, well, yeah, that's fair enough. Look, I think the simplest way to get your point is, let me play this back to you, would be if you defined chair by giving a big list of all the chairs, right? You said, let's call that one X1, X2, I'm not pointing to the people, I'm pointing to the chairs, X1, X2, right? And then you say, well, all the chairs are X1, X2, right? And then you give you a big list, and then you give you a big list of things that are not chairs, there's a longer list, right? And then you say, now you know what a chair is, right? It would be an untypical...
I don't think the definition is just a list. It's
Okay.
a list in the way that makes the list correct.
Yeah, okay, but so the thing about doing it in terms of a list, right, is that you've given all the cases. You have to agree in all the cases if you're going to agree in the list, right? But suppose you don't do it by giving a list, right? What would you do? And what's the alternative? Giving it by a list will work, right? Sometimes you do define things by giving a list. I mean, that happens in legal definitions the whole time. By the party of part A, we shall mean Mrs. Henshaw, Mr. Bloggers, right? But if you don't do it by a list, what do you do? Describe it. Yeah, you got a general rule. Yeah. A genus and a differential. Very good. That speaks the voice of medieval scholarship. Right? Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Very good. Okay, yeah, genus and differential would be fine. Yeah. So a rational animal, something like that. Yeah. That's, okay, in a medieval dictionary. But anyway, okay, fair enough. Yeah, that is fair enough. Okay, so you give a general criterion, right? And the thing is, if you're giving a general criterion for the word to apply to something, yeah, it doesn't matter whether you and I agree in any particular case. You and I might squabble the whole time about which things meet the definition, rational animal. Couldn't that happen?
Now, if we read about this, like a rational, represented by rational animal.
You say, I wouldn't call him rational. And I said, so he's perfectly rational. That could happen. We can agree on the definition. But we just don't agree on how it applies to cases. Think about children arguing about what's fair, right?
Yeah.
They say it's perfectly fair, and I say that's not fair. And so we're disagreeing about the case, yeah? But we can't nonetheless agree about the definition. We both agree fair means everybody's treated the same. I mean, isn't that what happens in like a political argument? That everybody agrees what fair means. It's just that they don't agree about whether this way of providing healthcare is fair or not. That makes every dispute into a dispute about meaning. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. That's going a bit far. Sometimes people are actually not disagreeing about meaning, but about the facts. Do you see what I mean? You're generating a whole lot of probably support. So yeah.
I mean, you could then agree on a sentence as a
Right.
Kind of go back to this point that you don't agree on definition. Like you may agree on the token definition of the systems,
Mhm.
probably what has different sense to you than the other person. But you kind of bring back to this point.
Yeah, look, that can happen. You know, it can happen that there's a dispute and people are just disagreeing about the meaning of the word, right? But it seems to me that's not usually what's going on in politics. For example, I mean, if you say, what is the best way to generate wealth? Right? Is it to a strong public sector, or is it to keep the public sector as weak as possible? People disagree about that kind of thing the whole time. Yeah, or are they just having a verbal dispute? You know, they just disagreeing about the meanings of the word. Best way to generate wealth. I mean, it seems like a really substantive dispute. That, you know, people spend their lives trying to prove their opponents wrong in this kind of thing. If it was just a verbal dispute, why would you bother? And look, if you and I are having a fight, and I say, look, I'm better than you. You say, no, that's where you're making a mistake. I'm better than you, right? We're having a disagreement there, right? We might actually fight about it. It's not that we're just disagreeing about the meanings of the words better than you. I don't mean to sound aggressive. Anyway, sorry, yeah.
Well, it seems like these guys are talking about definitions, and you're turning it into meaning. And I don't think it's clear that those two things are the same thing. In fact, I think we can look at the way we actually use words and the way people, the kinds of definitions we hold in our minds are not the same thing. I brought this up in section weeks ago, that when, like, we'll take rational animal. That's the average person's definition of human being. But
That's the average Aristotelian, but anyway.
a biologist, for their purposes, in their context of knowledge, they're going to need a much more pointed, specific definition in order to tell them what's essential to their purposes for using this concept of human being. They're going to need something in terms of the biological structure, whatever it is that separates us.
Yes, right.
But so we're going to have two different definitions. But it's clear that when I say human being, I mean the same kinds of things
Right.
that the biologist
Yeah.
even though we have different
Yeah.
definitions. So it seems
Yeah.
like what we do need to agree on is judgments. So we need to agree that we're judging
Yeah.
these same kind of things. But it's not clear that we need to agree on definitions.
Very good. There's a really interesting point there, and then something that's a bit more contentious, I think. The really interesting point is that very often when you're defining a word, you can be quite sure that you understand what human means. You know, most of us would say, look, I know perfectly well what the word means, but give a definition. I'm not sure I know the right definition. I mean, your knowledge of meaning seems to be more basic than your knowledge of a definition. Yeah, that's part of what you're saying. And I think that's true and really interesting, actually. You know, if you think about most kind of basic notions, like chair, for example. How do you define chair? Well, it's got four legs. Of course, some of them don't have legs at all. You see what I mean? You can start out giving a definition and then just not be quite sure if you're hitting it off exactly. So there is some sense in which this is a pro-Wittgensteinian remark that knowledge of meaning seems to be more basic than knowledge of definitions. But the other part of what you say is, therefore, it's agreements and judgments is the basic thing. That's a separate point, and it's not quite so obvious where the agreement and judgment comes in then. Yeah, but it's certainly an interesting and important point that your knowledge of a definition is often less certain than your knowledge of the meaning. You see what I mean? I mean, it's not a trivial thing to give a definition of a word. It's just,
I don't know if I say this less certain, but I think what I'm saying is that might be appropriate definition. It depends on what other words or concepts you're trying to relate it to in your
yes, right. Yeah, there's room for choice there. Yeah, what you think the right family of concepts is to be defining it in terms of. Yeah. I start to think of more persuasive examples where we really might. I mean, suppose you and I are detectives investigating a murder. You know, that happens, right? And you say, well, I think Smith did it. And I say, no, it was Jones. That can't be just a disagreement about the meanings of the words. Okay, right, bingo, okay. I thought that's a better example, right, than these political cases. Yeah. There are certainly lots of cases where people disagree about what happened in the past. Yeah. And they're not just disagreeing in the meaning. The whole point is they agree about the meanings of the words, but not the examples. Yeah. And then when you think of that kind of case, look, you give the way it works is you give the general rule for the use of the word. And then whether or not you agree in the case is a further question. Yeah. And I think what's plausible about what you say, the reason it's engaging what you say is, if you really agreed in the definitions, why would you be disagreeing about simple cases where it's kind of obvious what went on? Okay, I'm pushing you too far. Okay. If we agree, I think part of what you're saying is, if we really did agree in the definitions, why would we be disagreeing in very obvious cases where the thing is right in front of our noses? Yeah, and that is plausible. But the point there is still, you would naturally think it's a further step, whether we agree in the cases, even if it's a kind of obvious step. Yeah, the agreement in the meaning of is one thing, and the agreement in the cases is another. Yeah, but what he's saying here is more radical. He's saying, throw away this idea of the meaning of the word in general. Throw away this idea of the definition. All there is the agreement in judgments. And that's my read of what's going on here anyhow. He's saying, just forget the stuff about definitions. Here's another case that I think is making a similar point. He asks, how am I able to obey a rule? How is it that when you're using a word, there is such a thing as you obeying a rule? How can you be obeying a rule when you use a word? If this isn't a question about causes, about what it is in your brain that's making you do this, then it is about the justification for my following the rule in the way I do. What gives me the right to use a word the way I do? And so suppose you're asked, how come you're saying this is red, or how come you're saying this is fair? Then you can give some kind of justification. But at the end of the day, if I'm just saying to you, look, this screen's white, and you say, how come you're saying it's white? What gives you the right to do that? Then I might do a bit of talking, but at the end of the day, I can't really explain it any further. I don't have any justification to give. I can't say I've got some definition of white in my head